Welcome to Hometown Hairdressers.
Hi, everyone. We are Shauna and Ernesto. We're so glad you're here today to join us.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
We're on episode 4 now, and today's episode is Your Anxiety is Lying to You. I feel like we all experience it, yeah?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I struggle with anxiety day in and day out. I know you know that working side by side with me, you see the struggles. And a lot of times it's just stress that has compounded one thing on top of the other. And, it just kind of manifests into this little ball, and you got to
Yeah,
kind of pull it apart to figure out what's really truly triggering the things, work through it, and move forward. But anxiety is a biggie, and I know a lot of us struggle.
we do, and I think a lot of us struggle just coping with it every day, whether it be anxiety or depression,
Mm-hmm.
which are two very, very different things. They get lumped into the same category. I know it's struggles mentally, but they're very, very different, and the approaches that you take for both of them are different. But really, it's like you said, untying it,
Untying it.
figuring out what is at the center of it. And most of us spend more time either tying it up tighter
Uh-huh.
or not spending the time untying it. So I think that's where we should start is identifying. Yeah.
Right. And I think it took several years of therapy,
Mhm.
a lot of self reflection to really dig and dive deep into, you know, what was it? Was it this one instance, or was it when my kid said this, or was it when this happened at work? But normally it's not. Normally it's a much bigger thing.
Well, there's instances that
Sure.
happen and things that happen that will make you feel your depression, your anxiety, your stress more. But no, I mean, at the center of it, we're all little children, right?
Yes.
We spend most of our adult lives trying to undo whatever it is that happened to us as children.
Correct.
And not saying that everybody had traumatic lives, but we have all experienced traumatic things. Excuse me. And when we're young, we don't know how to deal with those. So we develop coping mechanisms.
Correct.
And we continue to use those coping mechanisms throughout life, but they don't work anymore because we become young adults, then we become adults, and the childlike coping mechanisms aren't working.
Oh, absolutely not. No. And I think that's when, at that point, you see a lot of people struggle is it's time to either get real with yourself or keep going down that path. And that can always be very, very difficult. And I think self, awareness of feeling, you know, the anxiety or maybe the outcries or the temper tantrums or things like that. Those are things that we all have to just slowly get a grip on and practice daily
And
stay on
realize
top of it. Yeah.
that we do feel them and
Oh,
not
yeah.
try to push them down. But so as it pertains to the workplace, you know, we are semi-industry focused podcast. We're not trying to be all about hairdressing.
Absolutely not.
So when we refer to things like behind the chair, in the salon, just substitute it for at the desk, at work, right? Because this is stuff
Correct.
that affects us all in our performance.
Mm-hmm.
So where I'd like to spend a little time today talking more about how it affects us at work or the difference between when we're at work and when we're not at work.
Correct.
You mentioned being kind of on stage and like a superstar when you're at work and you've got that confidence.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't always have it when you leave work and are doing your everyday thing, whether it be going into a grocery store or walking into a social event.
Correct. I do. I struggle with that. I have some severe social anxiety from outside behind the chair. Like when I'm behind the chair, man,
You got it.
I got this. Like I own it, and I am my most confident there. But in other aspects, no, I do, and it's hard. And a lot of times, I feel it's because our job is emotionally depleting at times, physically, mentally, not depleting, but it does take from us. And I think a lot of times maybe the anxiety is what I've realized over the years is it's not necessarily the event or the people there. It's just the amount of people that I feel like might need something from me. It overwhelms me.
Like in a social setting
Absolutely.
Versus the one person in your chair.
Correct.
But what I'm so curious about, and I've experienced it before, where I can walk up to a brand new person that's coming to see me to get their hair done and have not a bit of anxiety about it. I'm sure of myself. When I walk through the salon, when I'm approaching a color or doing a new cut on somebody, I don't have that anxiety anymore.
Right.
Of course, I did when I was younger, first behind the chair and unsure of myself. But I do find that sometimes walking into a restaurant by myself, meeting a group of people, I have a little bit of, walking into that. Yeah. And I try real hard to not show that on the outside. But why is it so easy for us to have that confidence while we're doing what we do at work and not all the time?
I think it's just a lot of it is repetition. I think consistency. I'm consistently going into work. I'm consistently making an effort to present myself. I'm consistently making an effort to be present for my clients. And as you go through that and it just keeps hitting, consistency, I believe, is the key to turning the anxiety around. And I even made that note in here. It's a constant practice. And I think because we constantly practice being on point at work, that in itself can be exhausting, but also too, that's where the confidence lies. It's just
true, but we we do our daily lives consistently too. But I have a theory on what you said.
Okay.
Not that I don't agree or that I disagree with what you said, but I was thinking as you were speaking about what I was going to say next, because that's active listening. But it dawned on me. I feel like your confidence, you especially, comes from, yes, consistency, repetition. You're doing the same thing, but you have invested so much into what you do that I feel you are truly confident in what you're doing. Right. And you know how to engage people in that setting, right?
Right.
Behind the chair, that is your place, but you know it, you've earned it, you've worked for it, you put a lot into it. So I feel like it's a combination of what you said, consistently doing it over and over. You aren't as anxious about something that you've approached many, many times usually, but also because you put in the work and you've done the things that work to give you that confidence.
Well, and I've messed up on the things that I know don't work.
Right. It's
trial and error. Yeah.
But so maybe we can look at applying that to the rest of our day when we're not at work, applying those same things, things that work, and do them because they work.
Well, and that you are such a structure person, and whereas me, I'm definitely more the artsy, flowy type of girl. You know what I mean?
See where the wind takes us today.
What are we gonna get into today? But
shiny penny. Ernie, look at this. Look, hey, what about this?
But really, I am, and so for one person to get up and have this regimented routine every morning and it just be, effortless, that it takes effort for me to do that. But when I do that, I absolutely feel better. It absolutely helps with the way I set my day, how I present my.
So that works.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that right there is not necessarily me being consistent and doing these things that are just boring or like, oh, it's just what I have to do. And honestly, it's me getting up and being excited about, this is the first way that I get to invest in myself today consistently. And that's what it is. It's an investment in myself every morning to know to do the things that work for me.
Right. Getting your engine started the right way.
Yeah.
You know that it takes this, and this for all engines to get firing.
Right.
Now, I know we don't always do that. When I say we, I mean you and many others out there. But I am very routine. We are very routine in this household. And that's something that was important to the both of us before we got together, is to not have somebody throw us off the routines and doing the things that we know work.
Right.
So that helps. I know my engine gets started the right way almost every day. And on the days that it doesn't, it shows. Right. So that sleep, getting up with enough time to get ready and all of that. But what else do works for you to keep those things at bay?
Well, obviously I need my first cup of coffee in the mornings, but I absolutely make it a little bit extra special. I put collagen in it. No, not Kahlua. Collagen in it. And I use the 5-part collagen because it has all of the wonderful things that your body needs.
Skin, hair, nails,
bones, gut,
gut.
health, like all of it. And so since so much stems from your gut, as far as your well-being, I feel
It
like
all starts there. Yeah.
it really does. I feel like it's really important to take care of that. So that's my first step. But it probably gets a little counteracted with the caffeine, but whatevs, it's my thing.
Balance. It's all about balance.
And then I take, a list of natural supplements that I have absolutely fine-tuned and tweaked and whatever over the last 4 or 5 years, but they're vital to me. And one is ashwagandha. It's great for lowering anxiety. So that's one that's vital for me in the mornings. 5-HTP. It is a natural mood booster, and it absolutely helps, keep you a little more level and elevated. I have struggled with depression and taken pharmaceutical medications for years. And up until about 4 years ago, I thought that was the cure-all until I went on a natural path. And
so how long have you been off of
all pharmaceutical medications? Yeah. It's been about 2.5 years.
Yeah. And this is the best version of you I've seen.
I'm so clear.
So clear.
So clear. I did also quit drinking 3 years ago.
Wow.
So I have not drank any alcohol in 3 years, and that's been a totally new, eye-opening. Let me relearn how to be a social person again without this buffer.
Without the liquid courage, yeah.
Back to my supplements really quick. L-theanine is great. It is also great for lowering anxiety. Omega-3 is a great one that I take every morning because it has, it feeds your brain. You want to feed your brain the right things and the right fatty acids and things. Those are the main ones. I add things to and from and take away or kind of whatever, but every morning that's definitely my routine. And it just makes me feel better. And then one other thing I do at night is for people who don't sleep well at night, this one's a great one. And I do it every evening is, I drink a huge glass of water and I take magnesium supplement.
Yeah.
Magnesium really helps you sleep, guys, and it'll keep you like relaxed during your sleep. So you're not waking up or, randomly. And so that is a really, really good one too. But I think, however you do and go and whatever way, you'll naturally find what works best for you. And
everybody's different.
Absolutely. And when you do, make note of that. Keep a journal. A journal is a really good way to, this is what I did this day. And I really felt like, I felt great here. So,
but consistency as well. We get on these kicks where we start something new and, we feel better. So we stop doing it. Right. But if you continue to do the things that, work.
Right. Well, and another biggie that I really get onto all the time is like, I have always been in the past, and not a great eater, but here recently, what you really do feed your body makes a difference. And I know it seems like, it's just one of those things we start to get into with age. It's like not a bad thing, but it really is a cool thing that
keep going.
We do. And I've noticed that for Lent this year, I quit sugar. But Ernie was supposed to quit sugar with me, but let me just tell you.
I didn't even last a day.
He lasted like maybe 6 hours.
I tried again the next day and I failed, and I had to give up. I'm so sorry I abandoned you on that. And I think it was my idea.
It really was his idea.
Neither one of us are Catholic, but we thought it was good practice, and Shauna's with
I'm holding to it because I don't know. I'm 2.5 weeks out with no sugar, and I can feel a huge difference in my body as far as inflammation.
It does more damage. Well, everybody knows. We all know it's pure poison, but it's my weakness.
But like the cliche, you are what you eat. Like for real, when I eat like garbage and just deep fried up and all the sweets and things and don't move and I'm not active, gross, I can take a turn in like a week.
Yeah, but you think about how many people don't. Who that is their regular way of eating and not being active and not moving, how accustomed they've become to feeling like shit.
But that was me. I was
right.
That. Yeah.
But you now know what that stuff does eating it one meal.
Right.
One meal of fried deliciousness, sweet.
And it is so good.
It is so good, but you will feel it all the next day.
I will.
Your little sensitive tum-tum, it doesn't like it.
I just don't.
I took prescription medication for a long time as well. I think from the time I was 16, I was taking medication for anxiety. I've never really suffered with depression, but anxiety to I wouldn't say crippling degree, but a degree that it made it difficult to move throughout my day minute to minute without feeling it.
For sure.
And one of the first things I did when I moved from Midland, moved here, was get off those medications. At the time, I think I was taking buspirone and Wellbutrin.
Mm-hmm.
And although it did have some mind-numbing effects, it had some sexual side effects that were unfavorable in a new relationship.
For sure.
And I decided to start medicating myself with marijuana.
Okay.
And got off all of the prescriptions for anxiety. And it's worked for me. I've had to tweak it here and there as far as strains and all of those things that that matter.
Right.
But hey, you keep going. Just a second. We left off on
you were talking about what works for you.
Yeah. So again, with doing the things that work.
Right.
It wasn't working for me using the medications
well,
in
can we
all
pause
the ways.
right there? Like, I have a question about that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you were on the medications and things like that, and you did start to come off of that, like, did you ever feel like, okay, great, that numbed me the whole way through, but like now that I'm coming off of it, I have to feel all of it?
I don't know if it was so much just that, but that happened about the time I started doing some real heavy self-reflecting.
Right.
My husband has a knack for making you look at yourself and the things that you do versus the things that you say and all of that. He's been my mirror in so many ways and showing me how my ego had ruled me. We've gone to Buddhist temple. I've taken a lot of teachings from that. Not that I'm a Buddhist, but
right.
It's the one thing that resonated most with me. And the one thing you have to do in order to achieve enlightenment is to let go of your ego. And so I really did a lot of work on me in that time, starting at that time, like serious work, and breaking myself down, looking at myself in a mirror and those ugly things that people don't like to admit about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I had to face.
Right.
So I started to do a lot of changing there. And I find that whether I was numb before, I was just facing it head on at that point. And so I just took it all as it came. There weren't any like physical side effects from withdrawals or anything like that happened, but I don't think I've ever been numb.
Mm-hmm.
Those medications help to slow down that hamster wheel in my head, but I feel everything so intensely, and that's difficult to navigate too when you suffer from anxiety or from depression.
Right.
So yeah, I felt the whole time, but it helped slow down the wheel.
That's good. That's really good. For me, I didn't have that experience. I felt like after coming off of those prescriptions, that really I felt like I had to kind of go back through each big thing, that had happened, because it was almost like at that point in time when I was taking it, I wasn't able to actually, or I don't know if I wasn't able to, or I just didn't really have the desire to, because there was just no want to work through it. It was just like, push it to the side.
Push it to the side. And we do a lot of that where we stop looking at it because it's making us feel things.
Right.
So we'll deal with it later, but later always comes.
Boy, it does come. When it does come, it ain't pretty.
Right.
It is absolutely not.
So the other thing that that I do that I know works is meditation. And when I say meditation, I think that's different for everybody in the way that you can do it best. It's not sitting in the position with the candles and the doing the thing and everything has to be perfect. You can meditate in your car.
For sure.
The one way that I meditate is just breathing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the easiest one for me. You can't ever completely clear your mind, I don't think. It's a practice. Like we keep practicing trying to do that.
Right.
Some people set intentions when they meditate, things like that. what works for me to make me feel centered and calm and just better is just simple breathing exercises. And I I inhale through my nose and I take in the cool air and I feel that air at the tip of my nose. And you will. Everybody, I hope, is doing it right now. You're going to feel that there's a little cool air that you feel at the tip of your nose. Well, you imagine that cool air being light, white air, and it's filling your body with white and light. And as you exhale, it's dark, dark air that you're letting go of. So you're in with the light, out with the dark, in with the light, out with the dark.
And when you're out with the dark, it's like out from your toes, like
yes,
blow it out
gut,
as
from your
far
toes,
as you can.
And that's what helps me.
Yeah.
So in those moments where I start to feel that hamster wheel going, and that's what it feels like for me, is all these thoughts on a hamster wheel, problems, issues, things I have to solve, figure out, whatever, and I can't get a hold of one of them long enough to do anything about it, so it just spins.
Right.
And in those moments, I do the breathing. And there are some times I can't do it with my eyes closed. I'm driving, but I can still breathe and it still helps. So that's another thing that I do that helps me in those moments.
You know, I heard somebody the other day, and I can't remember where I heard this from, but they were saying that just the simplest, most, smallest practices of like even yard work, something that, is small, that gets you outdoors, that gets your hands in the dirt, that gets, your mind on something else. But it gives your mind an instant gratification. You're going to go out there, do this task, and when you're done, you're going to get the result that you wanted.
Right.
And there's something very fulfilling about that. And I think as you do small little tasks like that too, it can definitely keep you away from getting in your head and getting on that hamster wheel of anxiety and bad thoughts.
But just to piggyback on that, I feel like if somebody were listening to this and were suffering with anxiety and thought, oh, okay, I need to do something when I'm feeling anxious, there's a fine line between busy work and like overdoing it and making yourself more manic by just doing things. I think what you're saying is something that feels good, something that
it's very methodical.
Yes, you can see the fruits of it, whether that be cleaning out your junk drawer.
Yeah, I mean, that can look like many things. It can be skipping down the sidewalk.
Something that works, not just staying busy.
Correct. Right. Yes, I retract that.
No, you don't retract. I just am like.
Yeah. No, I totally understand what you're saying.
Because I've done that thing with my anxiety where I stay busy and it becomes manic. And even maybe something I did enjoy, like yard work or restoring furniture, whatever, became such a coping mechanism. It wasn't a thing I was doing that I knew worked to help calm me, center me, whatever. But like what you're talking about, that's something that I think if I were feeling anxious and it was a beautiful day out and I went outside and I dug in the dirt and cleaned out my flower beds, I know that works. I know that makes me feel better.
Right.
Versus just, I gotta stay busy,
Yeah, exactly. Or, walking even is such a great thing. I think just being outside, just really focusing on your breath work, taking in, 10 slow, deep breaths while you're walking, and then go back to your regular breathing pace. But then maybe, wait a couple of minutes and really focus in again on those 10 deep breaths. There's so much to breath work and anxiety that I've learned. And, my mom, she tried to beat it in my head like all these years back. And, she was telling me that. So I was not listening. Didn't want to listen, didn't want to hear.
You weren't at a place to receive it.
Well, who really is when it's your parents, when you're younger? I mean, we're not like hanging on their words.
Parents are always right as we get older.
Absolutely.
The older we get, the more right they become.
Yes. And so, but she did. And she always emphasized, Shauna, take a step back, keep breathing, take, 10 slow, deep breaths. And it does, it'll shift your mood. And so, there's days like when that does pertain to behind the chair. And you know what? It's okay if you get into like that constant, hamster wheel where you can't get off, to say, you know what? Can I take a few moments and step away and give yourself a 5 or 10 minute pause, go to the bathroom, turn the light off, take 10 slow, deep breaths, because anxiety is very real. And if you're not taking care of yourself first, we definitely cannot be taking care of other people.
You cannot put your child's oxygen mask on before you put yours on. You've got to be okay before you can give to anyone else.
Right.
And so I mean, ultimately, I think the message we're trying to impart here is do the things that work.
Right.
Write the things down
That do
that
work.
do work and do them. I know for myself that I need a morning with my husband. I need, I don't want to say I need coffee, but the whole like routine of it all
Mhm.
is what
I'll,
I know works.
yeah.
I mean, I do need coffee.
I was going to say, let me dissect out your coffee in the morning and let's talk about how good of a mood you're in.
I've tried replacing it with tea, just not the same. So I do. That's what I need. I need my routine. I need. Um,
We're just creatures of habit.
very much creatures of habit, but the things that I do whenever I feel out of control or I start to feel anxious, putting into practice those things, whether it be taking 4 to 5 seconds before I step out to do a color that maybe I am nervous about. You know, I'm not sure how it's going to go. You and I, just before we started recording today, what do? We grab hands and we breathe together.
Yeah, we breathe and
because it works.
Yeah, meditate and just center and focus. And really, it's just the slowing down your mind long enough to process where the little nugget is of anxiety that's exasperating everything else in your life. And it's a practice you have to take time and master and learn. And I don't have it mastered.
No, I don't think that's why it's called a practice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that we have to do and just continue to get better at. I don't know that there's a destination, you know.
I wish there was, though, because man, if I could just know where it's going sometimes.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're just getting better and better every time you do it. So, but I think everybody really should keep in mind that we get hung up on little things that are happening at the moment and instances that are upsetting us. But, you know, I go back to the whole child thing. We're all still 4, 5, 6 year old Shauna, Ernesto, who are hurt by things, who are fearful of things, who don't want to be overlooked or abandoned or feel like they're nothing. And it goes back to childhood, but we do all these things to cope and get through as adults. And just know that you've got to spend some time looking back there. You know, I had help with my own version of therapy. Lady Ivy here in Fort Worth, look her up, book her. She's amazing, change your life. Okay. The foundation that I was standing on all this time, I was real comfortable with. Mm-hmm. I was comfortable hiding behind my anger. I was comfortable hiding behind my lies, all of that.
Right.
And when you break that foundation up, yes, it's rocky. Yes, it's bumpy. Yes, you find some stuff that you forgot was there, that you didn't know was there, but you could also take those things, look at them, and put them where they need to go. And the foundation that you stand on afterwards is much more secure. So you've got to spend some time looking, and mm-hmm. you've got to spend some time doing that hard, difficult work to unravel all of the things that we've been piling on top of.
Right.
And one of the ways that helped me with that was my lady Ivy. Mm-hmm. I did microdose mushrooms for a little while. I hope no children are listening to this, but it's true. This is us, right? This is what we're doing. We're putting us out there, and this is me.
Right.
And this is what's helped me to be where I'm at now. And I would not go back to anywhere before this because I'm
the best version of yourself.
The best version of myself today.
Right.
And the microdosing mushrooms did help. And what it did help for me, it wasn't to get high. It really was very medicinal.
Correct.
Those shit talking voices that I hear all the time, I take that back, that I used to hear all the time. They're gone. You know, when I was sitting in my car, when I'm walking into a grocery store, when I'm even sometimes walking into the salon, or every time I would look in the mirror, those shit talking voices.
The ones that are really just telling
lying
you
to
lies.
Us.
Yes.
That anxiety, that lies.
Yes.
So it wasn't a matter of just silencing those voices. I think it was a matter of doing the work, spending the time looking at those things and realizing that, you know what, I'm pretty okay as I am.
Right.
Dripping in turquoise jewelry.
I love it.
I embrace my feminine side. I'm okay with all of my crap from my past.
Absolutely.
Like, here it is. I'm okay with it. I've made peace with myself. I found a man who loves me in spite of all the crazy things. and I'm at peace
Right.
with me. And so,
and what a great place that is to be, is to know that, you know what, there's not one part of my story I can't tell right now.
right.
That, I mean, I can tell it all. And I mean, and I think that that's a really, really good point to where we are in this episode, is that when you get to a point where you can tell your story and it doesn't,
and not be ashamed of it,
and not be ashamed of what you've been through, how you got there, how you got here, and what you learned in between. Like, that's the stuff, that's the treasure stuff. Like, that's the stuff that you need to put out there. That's the stuff that people need to hear. And I think that that's why we were so excited to just get to do this and have this opportunity.
Well, I can't imagine another version of you besides the one that's sitting here right in front of me.
Well, there is Shayna that I've read.
There is Shayna. I met a little bit of Shayna years ago, but I'll tell you, it is a wonderful place to be.
Yes.
And I don't know. I wish that for more people, that you are who you are, bad decisions, good decisions, and all, and share that,
well,
share
right,
that with
because
people.
like with every little sharing of your experience, that could be that one little token piece that somebody else needs to go on to their healing.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole thing is. And that is what this whole momentum is that we really want to start. It's just like, when you get down to really who you are, strip away the ego, like Ernie says, which is a humbling experience.
It's difficult to do, and it's a practice too. I have to check that minute to minute.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's one thing I don't know that I don't know if I struggle so much with that. I mean, maybe at times, but yeah, I think everybody has a version of their ego that's just a little nasty and ugly that we have to keep at bay.
Well, it's not always that easily recognizable. Sometimes you need a Brent to help point things out.
Or just two wonderful daughters that'll be like, woman, check yourself.
Or me.
Or you, yes, for that matter. That's on the daily in the morning. Like, I come in, hello,
Okay, but you check me too, and that's why this works, right?
And I think that that's important too in your healing process, is absolutely having somebody, whether it be a friend or your spouse or whatever, that you can just get right down to it with, and there's nothing you hold back. You know what I mean? Like, this is what it is. If you like it, great. If not, I'm probably going to piss you off. I'm going to hurt your feelings. But at the end of the day, you need that authenticity and that vulnerability to be able to heal, I believe.
Right. Well, we are vulnerable creatures at our core. And there's not a thing wrong with that. But I think if more people out there realize that they're just like the rest of us.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what you've done, the bad thoughts you've had. I guarantee you everybody has. Right. But getting to that point to where you don't have to be ashamed anymore of what you did, who you were, whatever. All you have to be is the you today.
Just be you.
And continue to practice and do the things that work, and continue trying to be better. You can't go wrong. You just can't. So get up, do the yoga, have your coffee, drink lots of water, take the ashwagandha, water. Drink the water, do all of those things, do your collagen, masturbate regularly, whatever you need to do, and do the things that work, and just continue to try and be better and love yourself. My God, flaws and all, because we're all we've got. This is the only us that we're going to get the chance to be. So just.
Well, don't you think that's something like kind of about the fabulous 40s in a sense that comes up?
40s are good, y'all.
It's like you realize, like, ain't nobody coming to save me.
I'm going to have to do this.
I got to do this all by myself.
I'm the one rowing this boat.
Like, you better start pedaling. But that is so true. Like, it was just like, okay, wait a minute now. I've got to really buckle down and get real with myself.
But that's it. You got to that point that you were like, okay, what I'm doing is not working.
Right.
I got to do some real stuff here and do some real work on myself. And it's not easy. It's not, but God dang it. It is the most rewarding, the best place. I never imagined life being as good as it is today.
Where you are right now.
Yeah. Are there things I would change? I mean, kind of, yeah, I guess.
Well, I feel like that's anybody anybody goes there.
But ultimately, there's not a thing I wish for,
Mhm.
and it's a state of mind. It's living in gratitude, which is also a practice. You know, every moment when I'm sitting in traffic and I'm red faced because whatever, I live in gratitude for the beautiful car that I'm able to drive.
And be
The
stuck in traffic in.
and be stuck in my with my air conditioning and my
Right.
to go coffee and like shut up, live in gratitude, be grateful for
Absolutely.
every little thing.
Everything.
But one of the things I'm just going to say this real quick, and then I'm going to let you wrap this up. Um, this is something that's helped me for a long, long time, and it's helped a lot of other people that I've shared it with too. In those moments when you're feeling out of control, when you're feeling not grounded, when you're feeling whatever it is, stop. Look down at your feet, wherever you are. Look down at your feet and tell yourself, "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." That's something my husband shared with me years and years ago, and it worked. The one thing I added to it is when you feel like the weight of the world is on you and you're not going to be able to handle everything that you've got on your plate, look down at your feet, say the words, "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be," but then zoom out like those aerial shots where they zoom out on you and you see your yard, your house, your town, your da 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 da, and all of a sudden you're in space looking down at the earth. Your problems ain't shit.
This is true.
It's so insignificant, and if anything, that should make you feel a little bit better that you know what? No, this flat tire that I've got to replace on my car, the all four tires like you just had to do. Your daughter this, the kids that, the dog threw up, the all of that, and you're late to work. Ain't nothing
Compared to some of
compared
the
to what's
huge,
out there. Not even other people's problems.
right.
Humanity. Like there's bigger things out there than us.
For sure.
And it takes the weight off of my shoulders, but it also lets me know, even though my situation at the very moment is not the best or the most ideal or it's very stressful, I'm here for a reason and I'm supposed to be right here.
Right now.
Right now.
And I believe that to be true. And so, one day I remember this, and this was what I told him earlier. I was like, "You got to talk about that thing you made me do that day." And it was because, I was really struggling one day, and I think we were still downtown, and I walked by, and he said, "Stop," and made me go through the whole thing, and it was very powerful. But not until right now did you share that part about the aerial view, pulling yourself away and looking around at the bigger problems that this world has. And I think that too can be used with any circumstance with anybody. Even when you are feeling like you have a ton of anxiety and the world's caving in on you, you know what? Like, take that aerial view back up.
Zooming out in general helps with a lot of situations. Whether I remember being in school, in beauty school, and I'd be, all up on my client or my mannequin looking at this one little spot, and I remember my teacher told me, zoom out, step away, look at the big picture. And that's really what it's about, whether it be in one specific instance, in a moment that you're not, whatever. Zoom out. We zoom in and get so micro focused on things. But if you look at the bigger picture, just take a step away, it's a different view.
Yes.
So just try that, zooming out with whatever it is.
It really is. It is a different view. And I love that. I really love that. Ernie, do you have anything else that you want to add to this before we get into
I think I've said my piece.
Yeah, I think we've kind of laid it out there today. And honestly, I like that. I like that we felt a little more comfortable today, a little more.
It's because we're in the lounge.
In the lounge.
Surrounded by just lovely things, good energy. But I know this is something that it's passionate for us because we work it daily. We hold each other accountable daily, and not very well with the sugar thing. But
well, no, but sometimes I think something's such a big deal, and do I get a little butthurt if Ernie's like, Shauna, that's not that big of a deal. Get your shit together.
Get your life together.
Yeah, get your life in order. And I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe
because you need to zoom out.
Focus on myself for a second. Yeah, but that's the kind of friends you need, not the ones that just flap your pillow at night and tell you how beautiful you are. You need the ones who are going to tell you when you're acting ugly too.
If it's helpful, and I think in those moments it's helpful to let you know, Shauna, it ain't no thing, honey. Come on, come on, zoom out.
Yeah, zoom out. I like it.
All right. Well, Shauna, do you think we've said enough?
I don't think we ever have. But until next time, we thank you so much for being here on this episode. Thanks for listening to us pour our hearts out today.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, and hopefully you've realized by now, this is us. This is us as we are, and that's exactly what we want to give to you, because I know that there's other us's out there. I know all of y'all are experiencing these kind of things, and just thank you for listening, taking the time to listen to us.
Yes, and hopefully before too long we'll have some stuff up where we can start to get some feedback from you guys, and definitely maybe some questions or what y'all like to hear.
We're working on all the things.
You can always email us at hometownhairdressers@gmail.com, or send us a message on any of our social media platforms.
We're on Instagram.
What would y'all like to hear about? I think that's something I would like to put out there today. So.
All right, we'll leave it in the comments.
Thank you so much for your time.
Guys, take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and we'll see